Hello, I'm Elaine Stevens, and I want to welcome you to Art Beat. Welcome to Art Beat, where art is the heartbeat of South Mississippi and Alabama. We're in Foley, Alabama at the Performing Arts Association, and you're going to meet some fascinating artists here, and oddly enough, a few of them are from Mississippi. Stay with us. It's no secret that the temperament of the artist is often unpredictable. Well, in this case, Mr. Bill Thompson, whose work you see here, totally magnificent, but a little shy. But we're going to meet someone who really, really loves his work. Bonnie, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay, thank you for having us here.
Well, thank you.
At the Foley Performing Arts Association,
yes,
of which the co-op is part, and we're going to go in there later. But do tell us about Mr. Thompson's work. It is absolutely breathtaking.
Mr. Thompson had originally began his painting career in '95 as an amateur painter, and he actually worked in pastels. He only went to the oils in 2000. He's self-taught.
He's self-taught.
Self-taught. He has just got a love of the arts, and he has just such an eye for the colors. His pieces are so incredible that I had actually run across Mr. Thompson 3 years ago and had asked him to present in our gallery. And at first he didn't show much interest, and then he has, and he has been such a blessing. His work is impressionist, and yet
very impressionistic, yeah.
Just fabulous. Yeah,
it is. And the variety of topics.
Yes.
I'm especially fond, if we could take a look at this. I mean, I was tempted to take this back to IP Casino for our food and beverage department, because this just speaks to the passion of the chef. And he's captured that on this canvas. It's amazing. Don't you think?
I find Mr. Thompson to be incredible because I have a little history on Mr. Thompson.
Oh, good. Please do tell us.
And he was an aerospace engineer for 30 years, and he semi-retired and began painting. And so his articulate nature shows. He's a very quiet man. He's a phenomenal workshop instructor, just absolutely phenomenal. Very honest, very, his approach to art is so freeing to his students that he just opens up a whole new world for them.
What a beautiful way to describe
he is incredible.
someone.
I've taken 2 of his classes. He's got another one, December the 3rd and the 4th. It's a workshop, an all-day workshop for 2 days, and I will be in that class as well.
That is so wonderful. Well, we're going to move to another artist that's in this gallery, Miss Elizabeth Blaylock. And she's not with us either today. I understand she's somewhat under the weather.
Yes, yes.
But let's take a look. Her work is very vivid, very different work entirely from Mr. Thompson's work, but at the same time it's quite beautiful. I'm especially fond of the ballerina here, the reclining woman, but of course, living near the Gulf, she does a lot of things that are oriented toward the water and such.
Her use of color is amazing. She can pull a color together of things that the average person and painters, some average painters, don't even equate together.
Right.
And yet for her, they work. And she is a local artist as well. She's also an instructor with some classes and workshops coming up in the art gallery. And she's incredible to watch working, and I'm disappointed she's not here today. She's a resident of Foley and frequents the art gallery, and she also is in our co-op space.
Oh, she's in the co-op space as well.
A member of the co-op.
Well, I have to say that I read her bio briefly, and she's been painting since she was 6 years old.
Yes.
And she did things.
Her mother painted, I believe.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
And so she gets it directly, and it's just her style. And she is one too that will use different topics. She never stays on the same
I see
topic.
that.
She will go from the chickens and the roosters to the seashore, to the boats, to this phenomenal. She does a lot of portraits.
She does portraits very well. I mean, I think the portrait shots are exceptionally well done, especially this mother and child.
Yes.
It's very beautiful.
Yes.
Well, hate to rush through this. We're going to come back to Foley and personally, hopefully, talk to Mr. Thompson and Ms. Blaylock at some point in time. We'll be back with Art Beat. But meanwhile, you stay with us and we'll be back with more artists from the Foley Performing Arts Association, and we're going to visit the co-op. You have just seen the remarkable versatility of Zach Baisden. Welcome back to Art Beat. We are in Foley, Alabama at the Foley Art Co-op. And it's such a pleasure to have you with us here today, Zach.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
You are a fascinating man. And off camera, we're talking about Zach has taught students for 42 years. So before we delve into your art, tell me all about your background.
Well, I am an artist that went to Huntington College, studied in a small school, got my master's at South Alabama. I have been practicing teaching in Montgomery. I started in Montgomery and I moved here about 30 years ago. And I've been teaching in Pensacola for the last 30 years. I've been really lucky enough to have outstanding students that have gone to very numerous places and doing outstanding work and jobs that they're well known in Disney and in their own businesses. Tony LaMolinera owns Claymation. Philip Boyd's one of Disney's top painters. I've just had a lucky experience with kids.
Well, I don't know about luck. I think that takes skill and patience and knowledge, and apparently he could even teach me a few things. That's what you said now. I may take you up on that.
My wife may not like that.
So we're going to talk more about your art classes, but let's first look at some of these beautiful pieces. And of course, I was quite taken as I came through the co-op. One of the first ones here caught my eye immediately. It's called Bravo. And tell me a little bit about how it's constructed.
I deal with mixed media with, this one is basically a blanket that I have covered, soaked it with a certain medium to give it the textures and able to pull the rings of color out of it with the strings that are in it. This is a piece of...
It's metal? Is it a piece of metal?
It's a piece of metal, zinc, that I ran through a printing press and pressed it on a piece of a block of wood. And then the colors just seem to radiate from whatever feeling that I'm having at the time.
What feeling was that at the time?
The feeling that I had at the time was I was just relaxed on a Saturday morning.
It looks that way. I mean, the lavender hues and the peaceful quality of it all. But did you imprint all these designs on this?
These designs I do. I do them once in a while. I use a lot of different things. I use string, I use fabrics, I use anything I can find. For instance, this painting right here, this is river tree birch.
I see.
This area right in here. And then the design, I build the design around the river tree birch. There's a certain amount of sand in here. There's textures with tissue paper. A lot of handmade papers are sprinkled around that I have taken a blender and blended them up and dropped the color into it and then painted on top of it. This is
a little different. That looks like a watercolor, is that?
No, that's a monotint.
A monotint, okay.
A monotint is the same thing as an etching, only there's no scratching in it. You just take a piece of plastic, paint on the surface of it the design you want, put the paper over it, run it through a printing press, and whatever transfers off of it is what you get. You have to take it for what it is because it is a monotint. The one above it had handmade papers, it has wires, it has strings, it has a piece of the metal type stuff right in the middle.
In the middle
that I put designs on, painted over it so it loses the metal effect.
Those colors are very interesting in this one. What is the name of that one?
I really don't remember.
You don't remember, but let's take a look. Let's see. Do you have it named up here?
Yep.
Moonflowers.
Yeah, moonflowers.
Moonflowers, and they do look rather like they're on the moon. I mean, the craters and the
Yep.
sort of thing there. Beautiful. Okay.
Everything that I do comes from my mind when I start it. I don't start with the sketch. I start with things that are strictly from my mind. This one, I started out, actually I started this one this way and had another
What do
idea
you mean
in
this
mind.
way?
Just turn it.
Oh, you had it that, so it could really go that way, but you prefer it the other way as
Right.
the artist, so.
When I got into it and it started to develop, I began to like what I was getting, and therefore I just stayed with it.
Now, when you find these media that you're working with, do you decide at that moment what it's going to be, or do you go on a search for something, or how does that work?
My garage is about 20 by 30 and it's stacked this high with trash. I'm a garbage pit in my garage.
And so
that's
you
the-
pick from all of those items
Right.
and to create.
Right.
And you know what's there probably.
I know basically what's
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I have years of fabrics. I find a fabric I think will work in a painting, and
Yeah.
I'll buy 4 yards of it if I needed half a yard. So, and that way I've got things left over, and they come out. I guess I'll use them someday. So,
This one I love, and I mean, it looks rather like an island, but it looks like I'm looking beneath the surface of the earth. That's what I see.
well, you are.
Okay.
This one is supposed to be a Portuguese man of war,
I see. Oh, wow.
and I named it Portuguese Island, I think, so that you have the Portuguese man of war floating in the water, and in the background in it. Some of the things I do are objective. Some of the things I do are non-objective or abstract. This I go to watercolor from time to time, and I go to mixed media. Most of my work I do is mixed media. Some etchings when I have access to a press.
Well, the colors on all of them are so vivid, with the exception of this is a somewhat more muted type of coloring. And tell us about this one.
This
is
one,
modern stone something?
it's a takeoff on Stonehenge.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I had been to Europe with my daughter, and we came back, and we were wanting to go to Stonehenge, and we didn't have a chance. And I thought about it and thought about it, and so I said, well, I've never seen it, and I'll just see what my ideas would work with it. So I just started pulling out things in it that I thought would radiate the ideas of the time element that's supposed to be built around the Stonehenge, and some of the religious ideas that are in it. So, excuse me, I brought in a lot of the crochets that I found, some old crochets in the garbage, and took them out. I find things on the side of the street and so on. So this has a lot of fabrics. It has a lot of
Texture, doesn't
texture that I found in a fabric here. These are all sand and tissue papers down in here. They're just whatever I find I use, from wire strings and so on.
it? This one fascinates me. It has a very futuristic look.
This one was Halloween last year. A lady came to one of the classes that we were in, and I was teaching mixed media.
Right.
And she said, what can I do with this string that they make spider webs out of? And I said, let's see. And so we took it and laid it down. And I kind of liked what was happening, so I went home. She gave me a little piece of it. And this is the piece she gave me. And I had to figure out what I could go with. This was a piece of a screen that I found.
Like a
And just
bamboo
cut
or
it up
something, yeah?
and used it. So this is Stairwell to the Heavens, and it's just,
It's beautiful. I
this
love
is
that.
PVC pipe, string, tape that's been ground up and
Unbelievable.
put down. And all of these things are things that will last. A lot of people say, for instance, the tree birch. Would the tree birch last? I've soaked that so that it's been soaked with a solution that's going to make it look and last, I think.
Pretty
I'm
much
hoping.
through
It's
time.
pretty much through time. So far, you can take it and wiggle it like a piece of.
So it won't decay or erode like normal trees would do.
Yeah. It has a soaked body of medium through it, so it's soaked for 3 days.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with Zach and his remarkable work and look at a more traditional style and talk about his teachings. So stay with us.
Thank you.
You're watching Art Beat, and we're in Foley, Alabama. Our artist that we're featuring in this segment is Zach Baisden.
All right.
Remarkable man with a variety of styles, and especially this. So this is a watercolor, am I right?
This is a watercolor. Most of what I do is mixed media. I started out doing watercolor.
So is this an older piece of work, or is this?
This is an older piece. This is about 4 years old. This is one that I hung in my home, and I liked it where I hung it. And I like the contrast between the abstract and realism when I'm doing it.
Yes.
But this one was my first attempt at really trying to create feeling with people in a painting. Most of my paintings were landscapes or people that, not people, places that are unique, and they create their own setting. This is the first time I tried to create a setting that was a little bit different from what you normally find. And
was it taken from a photograph?
No.
This is from you?
This is all, anything I do comes from my head. I have to make it up.
So those are not your grandchildren?
No. My grandchildren, they're visiting me right now, but this is not them.
How beautiful.
The girl was an inspiration from someone that I had met through my daughter, and she was asking me the night before about a painting, and she said, I want to learn to paint. And I said, well, come on over and we'll pray. And so she came over, and I said, just sit there a minute. And she sat there, and I did a quick sketch of her, and that was it. And then I lost the sketch, but the kid came in because my wife's oldest son was expecting at the time, and so
wow,
I said, well, we'll put him in here and teach him how to paint. So we let her teach him how to paint.
Now, speaking of teaching, tell us all the places that you are currently instructing, and then the classes that are going to be taking place here at the Co-op.
Well, I'm going to be instructing here at the Performing Arts Center. I'm teaching right now at Orange Beach Arts Center, Orange Beach Arts Center, Art Gallery. Pensacola, I was teaching at Perdita Bay Methodist Church. I teach at Boys Base, which is an incarcerating school in Sausalito for the state of Florida. I teach in homes for the assisted living. I'll get it out in a minute. They're in assisted living homes. So that's places I teach.
So your demographic is very broad, and then here at the Co-op or the Performing Arts Association, you'll be teaching children?
Yeah, they'll be middle school age up. So.
Now, what if do you tell them that they're going to move in this direction, or do you find out what they are capable of?
What I like to do is bring in some of my paintings and set them up and say, what do you see you like?
Oh, I see, yeah.
And then I like for them to be taking the challenge and jumping into something so that they can do something that is completely them. I don't want to enhance them, and I don't want the fact that they're going to be doing my work. I want them to do their own work. I want them to bring out anything that they like to do, and if they can do something that will work, then I try to work with them that way.
Well, it's just amazing. I mean, if you want to take some art classes from a man who really knows, and it could possibly get you to Disney. It's Zach Baisden. We're here at Foley, Alabama at the Performing Arts Association. We're in the Co-op Gallery right now, and we're going to be meeting some of the other artists. So I'm going to go along and introduce myself to some of the others that are working. How does that sound?
Go right ahead. They got some really good artists here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Zach was fascinating, but we're now here with Anne Callagaz. You saw some of her watercolors and other kinds of work that she's doing, and she's currently working on a piece. But I'm quite fond of these note cards, and you told me that the one with the skiffs took place in Italy, in Sicily. Is that correct? Yes. And this just looks like one of our crabs here on the Gulf, perhaps.
That one is called Mardi Gras crab.
Oh, I love it.
When I painted it, I was in a gallery, and they had a lot of Mardi Gras decorations around, and when I got home, I said, oh, I used all the Mardi Gras colors.
I love it. Your colors are quite vivid, and I just love your work. Now, watercolor is not an easy thing to work in, is it?
Oh, I think it is.
Every artist I ask says the same thing, so apparently I wasn't very good at watercolors when I was a child.
I think you can overwork it fast.
Yes.
And when I'm doing a big piece such as this, I try to set my clock or listen to the radio, and when the news comes on, I stop and I go to something else. I think you can keep your work fresher if you come back with a fresh eye.
Oh, I think that's so smart about anything, whether it be writing or painting.
I think you can overwork a piece. I think you can. And so I usually have 4, 5, 6 pieces going at a time. And a lot of times my husband and I travel a lot, and I paint on the plane.
Do you really? Now, how do you do that?
This is one I painted on the plane, just little pieces.
Oh, wow.
I have a small little travel kit.
That is
And
so precious.
it makes the time go by, and the people think you've lost your mind, but...
Oh, I think it's wonderful, and the detail on this is really something.
Thank you.
So you're not distracted on the plane, obviously. You're
No.
tremendously focused.
Yes, it's like getting into a good book when you paint.
There you go.
When you paint, yeah, you can just shut down any problems you may have in life. They just go away because you're taking a white piece of paper and making a new world out of it.
What a beautiful philosophy.
I just think it's exciting that you can brighten up someone's day with a little bit of color.
Well, your paintings certainly are filled with color. I love the sailboats.
Thank you.
Now, that looks more like multimedia to me, but tell me about that.
Well, it was about 4 paintings that I did, and I didn't like them, so I cut them up and I wove them back together.
Excuse me, you cut them up?
Yeah.
And you wove them. I don't know if you can pick up the texture of this, but it truly is interwoven. It reminds me some of like the paperwork we used to do in elementary school.
Oh, okay. It's a great project to do with grandchildren on a rainy day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, I asked Ann earlier if she had taught, and then she proceeded to tell me where she's taught. So get a load of this.
Denmark, Germany, Slovakia, and Poland.
Wow. And how did you get there, and why were you there?
Well, I have a friend that lives in Denmark, and we have corresponded for years, and when I told her I was going to be in the area, she says, oh, please come, we'll have a class. And so that was one trip, but then the other was on a sister city trip. And I went to the university in Slovakia. I handed one of my bright-colored parrots to this governor of Slovakia, if you will, and he says, oh, your colors make me drunk. And I said,
How lovely.
Tomorrow I'm going to the university. And I do a technique that's called pouring, where you just pour the paint and then you just play with it, and you come back and maybe find subject matter in it, and it gives you a whole break on subject matter that you might not think about painting.
And yet your subject matter seems quite nautical and pretty typical of our area down here. So when you're doing the pouring, does that also attribute to a different kind of coloring? Not so much?
Not so much. I try to stick with my palette, and I just love color.
Now, where did you learn your art?
Well, I started out China painting. A lady down the street.
As in China?
On China.
Cups and things?
Yes.
Okay.
I had 3 children, and when the last one finally got to school, one day a week I went to paint on China. And the daughter of the teacher says, let's go to Fairhope and take a watercolor class. And I said, I can't do that. The third, now this has been a long time ago, before the Bayway. The third time she asked me, she says, my husband won't let me go that far by myself. So I went for her, and I got sucked in. I mean, I absolutely fell in love with watercolor. It is forgiving, and a lot of people say it's not. But if you don't like it, you can cut it up and do something else with it, you know.
Or you can go to Seashells and make nativity scenes like this one for the holiday season. Those are yours as well.
Yes.
That's very creative. I love it. And the diminutive characters, where do you find those?
Everywhere I can. I search
Lovely, absolutely lovely.
Long.
Yeah.
And then I also do the driftwood ones.
The driftwood ones over there? Yeah, I see that.
Started with a project with grandchildren last year, the day after Thanksgiving. They all spent the night with me, and I said, what are we going to do? And so we went walking the beaches and found driftwood, and we just decided to make something out of it.
Absolutely
it was a lot of fun.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Absolutely wonderful. Well, our guest today is Ann Callagaz, and we interviewed Zach Brainston earlier. Amazing and very diverse artists here at the Foley Art Co-op in Foley, Alabama. What an enchanting place it is, and they're getting ready for Christmas, and everything is coming into red and green, it seems.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a short break with Artbeat, and please stay with us. We have more interesting things here in Foley to see. Well, needless to say, it is hard to come here to the Performing Arts Association and leave without gift in hand for myself, I might add. And the artist here is Jerry Mitchell. He's a potter from Santa Rosa Island. And Joseph, what a steal this is. It should have been a Christmas present, but I'm taking it home for me. So we hope you enjoyed our Art Beat here in Foley, Alabama, and we're going to be doing more Art Beats here. So please stay tuned and watch us. And if you have any artists that you would like to see on Art Beat, don't forget to email us at wkfk.com and let me know. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Joseph.
Bye.